guys, welcome to Set Live. This is Kelly Leger.
And Amber Buto.
And we are here in Studio One at For the One Studios with our dear friend Larry Westfall. And tell us, Larry, who are you and what do you do in the industry? How long have you done it?
Well, my career started off in news distribution. So I was in the media, and that was a while back when print was king, and now digital has totally taken over, and print is, almost gone as far as a newspaper.
Right.
Out of college, I graduated in finance, and I tried that for a year, accounting and finance, and I did not want to do that. And so a friend of mine had a distributorship with the Houston Chronicle, and he was making great money, good hours, self-employed. It's like, that's what I want to do.
So you're a Houston boy. This is all context.
Yeah, I was born in Oklahoma. My dad moved down here after college, and so we moved down to Houston. I've been here all my life. I'll hit 60 in November.
Another Houstonian boy.
Yeah, another Houstonian.
All right.
So I know I didn't want to get into accounting and finance. However, I still do about 40, 50 people's taxes every year. So I still do a little bit of financial planning and income taxes. Oh, wow. But as print was dying, and we saw this in about 2008 when we would have our monthly meetings, and it's like, what is happening to our sales? Where is this money going? Why are sales down? It's cold, it's raining, it's the fall, football's playing, that's our peak time. But our sales are down. So nobody could figure it out. And then we realized that the internet was grabbing all of our sales. And the iPhone was at 07. 08 and 09 is when everything exploded with the apps, social media was on the rise. So the marketing money was shifting from print into digital, which now it's everything is that. You can advertise your car on Facebook for nothing.
Yeah.
So why would you give a paper $50 to run an ad?
Right.
So I had a business, I had a giant warehouse, 20 some employees, a couple of big bobtails, forklifts, massive operation. I went down to one person. Well, when that transition was happening, I was volunteering at a mega church here in Houston. And I thought, well, I'm already doing video and I know what I'm doing there. I've been running camera for 10 years. Why not just looking forward? Why not make that transition? So I got real aggressive and I started buying a lot of gear because, as I rent the gear, people say, well, can you come with and run the camera? Sure. And so the following year, I built a studio in my backyard, 600-foot studio with 14-foot ceilings, and I did all the audio in there, and I just got real aggressive. Like, I've got to change because as papers run out, I don't want to be doing nothing, and now I'm in my 50s. Who's going to hire that? So I prepared for that, tried to look forward, tried to make the investment, and it paid off huge.
But I mean, there's a lot of people, especially even given the age that you were at the time, most people are not pivoting at that point. People get stuck. Like, how many guys got stuck at that same time when you pivoted? I mean,
a lot. And I've got a friend that's still working at the Chronicle. He doesn't have a college background. He's still there. He's, I would say, struggling because it's nothing like what it used to be. We used to be paid so well, and you couldn't get a distributorship. I worked with him for 8 years before I finally got plugged in because everybody wanted a distributorship because there was so much money in it, and the time was great. You're self-employed. You're pretty much your own boss, and you could hire and fire who you want. You built your team, and you built your A team just like we do in video. We hire the people that work well, and so I had a very successful business in that. But I was just thinking, okay, if this goes away, how am I going to pay my bills?
Yeah.
And so I had been, like I said, running camera for about 10 years. So, well, I'm already good at camera. I can do that. And now I'm pretty much doing everything. There's nothing I don't think I haven't done. And I think at a mega church, you're exposed. The tools are right in front of you.
Yep.
And like for a few years, about 10 years, I was involved with our internship program there at the church.
Oh, wow.
And I always tell the kids, if you're thinking about getting into video, go get involved in a mega church.
Yep.
All the tools are right there. The latest MA3 or Grand MA, the audio boards, lighting boards, the cameras, all the lighting, all the tools you need that we need to make quality stuff. You're actually hands-on.
And they're producing a lot of content.
Absolutely. Where I'm at, our content, and especially through COVID, it just went through the ceiling. A lot of churches were calling us saying, can't have service because of what's going on. And we pretty much followed the stadium rules. So if you couldn't have a baseball game, we did the same thing.
Right.
But our demand for the video just went through the ceiling.
Wow.
And before COVID, we were having 7 services. We had 4 services on Sunday. We had a midweek and a Spanish on Thursday and a Saturday night. And of course, you got 8 camera guys. You have, it's a full team,
massive production.
7 times a week. So as an intern, if you get plugged into that, you're hands-on 7 times a week if you want to.
Wow. And let's face it, I mean, like, we're always encouraging people, like, everybody needs the experience. Like, we were saying, get on a set, get on a set, get on a set, do whatever you got to do to get on a set. In a place like that, with so much content being cranked out, you can be on it a lot.
And it's consistent.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the things in talking about going to a church to try to get involved and be in their media team is guaranteed every week it's going to happen.
Absolutely.
Like, it's every week that it's going to happen. It's not like you're having to wait for a one-off job or if you're going to land a job. It's there's a consistent, and that's like true. You said, you are going to get to use the most likely, depending on the church, some of the top technology that
Absolutely.
there is. So you're going to be able to learn that, and then you can go rent and get your hands on some of the not lower end, but the
middle
not
to higher
as,
end camera gear and lighting. And you learn all the
you learn the facets of
and
it.
the talk of video.
Yes.
Like what's a C47? I thought that was a
plan.
Isn't that a paperclip or
okay? So you did this pivot. And you went all in. First of all, kudos. That's super brave.
Yeah.
I mean, that was super just, here's what I got. I'm going for it. So what was that transition like? You went all in. It was make or break. But at that point, right, you quit what you've been doing.
Yeah, I just pulled money out of savings. And I told my wife, I said, I'm building a studio. I have to do this. It's just, and I like here at the studio. It feels very warm, peaceful. I know you've got the Word of God everywhere. We did the same thing. As we built the studio, we wrote scripture all over the floor. And then laid the floor over that. But we pretty much did everything hands-on. We did, I had a concrete guy come in. So, I've never done concrete before. And we had a framer that framed it. But we pretty much did everything else. And a roofer. And the sheetrock. But, there's so much that goes in.
And the paint.
But we did the floor, the doors, the windows, the insulation, the air conditioning, the heater, and all the things I could do. Right. I did that.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And so I just said, we got to do that. And as soon as we started doing that, me and my partner, we just started doing video, generating income.
Yep.
And it has grown to where I've replaced the income that I was making with my business and my full-time employment there at the church.
Yeah, that's great. We just acquired another space. It's 2,500 square foot stage. And I know, it's so great. There's a feature that's going to be being filmed in it for the next 2 months. But my team walked down there when we were looking at getting it. And we walked in and I said to them, can y'all believe this box is what we work in every day? This is what it looked like. And now we sit in this. That we sit in every day,
True.
Which is, okay, I say God, all right? I tell everybody, it's like, how did you do all this? This is just God.
Absolutely.
I had no idea what I was doing, right? But you learn, you figure it out, you become a student of it, and you try to make the best decisions you can with what you have at the time you have it. And
sounds like a filmmaker to me. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just figuring out what I got.
We have to put into action what God puts in us. Faith without works is dead.
Is dead.
So you
James
worked.
2:7,
You did all this, and I think if we take action, we know what we're doing. Our ministry, God's going to make that happen. He's not going to let it fail. He's not setting you up to fail.
Yeah.
So you're going to do nothing but grow here. I guarantee it. And as that thing is built, more people are going to come in. Word will spread, and then you'll be like, we should have built a bigger one.
I say that on the daily. I'm like, Lord, but if we could have if we could have 5,000 square feet, 8,000 square feet. Yeah. My little vision dreamer self, goes to those. And then I'm like, okay, I'll just do diligence with what I have now. That's a lot what we say here. Do with what's in your hand right now.
Right.
Make that work, and then you'll have favor to do more, and being excellent at where you are.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what you did. You're like, hey, what do I have right now? What am I doing? And how do I pivot? But I have to say that you make it sound really easy. You do. It's a gift to you in business to be able to see that pivot. I think a lot of people
That's true.
they might see that they need to, but they
How do you get from A to B?
Yes.
Yeah.
Systematically, they can't put that into play. What is the 1, 2, 3, ABC to get that to happen? And that's where I say, find people like you. Find people that are in the industry that have that gift that can tell you some of the next steps. Don't get stuck just because, just don't not pivot because you don't know.
Or you're scared to make a mistake.
Yes.
I don't have my ducks in a row. I'm not going to do anything.
Right.
Paralysis by analysis. Right. That whole
Find somebody that's made a pivot in their careers or in the business or, find somebody that has, people are nicer than we give them credit for, really.
Absolutely.
I think. I mean, if you reach out to people, rarely do you get like a no.
Right.
Sometimes you do. But most of the time people are, if you're willing to give a little and they're willing to give a little
less
too.
in Texas do you get those kind of people. Less.
That's less. That is true. Yes, y'all.
Y'all.
But so I think that it's kudos to you that you were able to make that pivot and then just turn it and make it into a full-fledged business again. I think that was brilliant, and I think the ability to pivot like that is so necessary.
Well, I think at some points when you have to do something, it pushes you out of your comfort zone, because a lot of us get comfortable at what we're doing in whatever business. But if we're always seeking to grow and we're always seeking to learn, that's going to take us places. And we shouldn't be like, I know that, or hang out with C players because you want to be the A guy. I want to be the C guy hanging out with A players. That's how you learn. And like a couple of guys when I first got in the industry, because there's so much to learn. Like lighting in itself is an art form, and to master lighting doesn't come easy. And so I hung out with Hassan Naji, a good friend of mine, and of course Dan Rubottom. And those two guys were way ahead of me, had been doing it for a long time. Both have won awards, and they're leading their field. And so I hung out with them. I was like, what's an f-stop? They started teaching me everything. And I learned so much, not only camera skills, a little bit of editing, but a lot of lighting that now I'm doing because I hang out with them. And I think the people you hang out with, that's who you're going to become. And if you want to be successful, you want to make money, because we're all in business. Most of us people in video are creative people. You're not thinking of the business side. But business is just as important. You've got to make a profit to survive. Cameras aren't free. Lighting isn't free. The space isn't free. You got to have air conditioning. There's a lot on the back end, even just to make this podcast successful. So you got to be a good business person, and you got to make that grow, and you got to think, how can I market that to make money? Not that we're into money, but money's important. Money is a tool. It also, like what you're doing. If you didn't have people funding you, that tool, and you're going now in your ministry to other countries to spread the gospel, and that's all money is. Money isn't something that we seek to put in our pocket.
Money is sustainability.
Yes.
Money is for sustainability. And what I say all the time, you don't want to be a one and done. You can. A lot of people can do that. You can go, beg, barter, and steal, and get that film made or get that one project done and do that. You burned every bridge you possibly could for sustainability. So if you want to sustain, we're going to have a little bit more strategy on the back end.
Yes. What are you going to do for the next project?
Exactly.
Where's that money coming from?
And then if you can organically grow, start with where you are. Yes, I know everybody wants to make $1 million film. Nobody wants to make the $50,000 film. I hear you. It's a lot of work and it's really hard, but can you make the 50 for 20? And make the profit of that, and then go and take that and go do another one and keep growing.
Yes, power compounding.
It's teaching that, but that's sacrifice. There's sacrifice to business that has to happen. Where I just said as a dreamer, I want the 8,000 square foot, but I got to have the business to justify to get the 8,000 first. It's taking those right steps to
go to the bank and tell the banker you got a dream. How's that going to work out for you? But I recently saw like the documentary on Arnold Schwarzenegger. Have y'all seen that? I have. New one. It's a 3-part. It's the weightlifting and the movies and the politician. When he went into weightlifting, he went all out. He bought a little mat. He lived in the back of a weight room, and he worked out for like 24/7. He had a rough, horrible upbringing, abusive father, true success story. But he just went all in. And the guy that beat him in one of his first competitions, he looked at him and said, enjoy that trophy. I'm beating you next year. And then, of course, the following year he won. And then he won Mr. Universe for like 13 times in a row. But because he put in the effort, he didn't just show up on the scene and be number one.
Yep. Right.
And a lot of people in video, like I'll see in the internship, I want to be a director. Or I want to be a producer. Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, let's grip the cable for a month, and follow the Steadicam guy or follow the handheld guy around, just gripping, learning over and over and under and rolling up your cable. And then they want to quit within a week. Yep. It's like, you got to put in the time. And I think there's a book out talking about becoming an expert in anything. And it's 10,000 hours to master that trade. And so if you put in the time and you have the passion and you have the love, like I love what I get to do. I'm the luckiest guy in the world. Who I get to work with, what I get to do, the jobs I get to do. Every day is a blessing. Yeah. I have a wife we've been together for 40 years. We've been married 35. Wow. And I just tell her, it's like, we are so blessed. Not only to live here, but just everything we get to do daily. And videos is awesome. But if you have that passion and you have that drive, you're going to succeed in whatever you do. And don't quit. Just don't quit.
One of my cinematographer buddies out in California, we used to always say, we'd be on some production in LA or wherever we were, and be like, yeah, we retired years ago. And because people wait till they do what they love until they retire. I'm like, we're doing it every day.
And if you're doing what you love, it's not work.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't I got to go to work. I get to go to work.
Yeah.
That's true.
And I get to go do this. I was in Seattle last week. I was at a Texas Trial Lawyers Association streaming 2 weeks ago, and I'm fixing to go to Oklahoma tomorrow to go to another shoot Thursday, Friday. So I'm traveling, and I get to do so much fun stuff. I enjoy the people in Houston. Houston's huge, 5-6 million people, but the video industry, the people in it are just amazing. Great, good people.
Great, good people. Yeah. I agree.
There's a few you might want to avoid, but the 99% in our industries is great people, fun to be around. And I'm a people person. I love being around and working with different people, meeting you guys, see what y'all are doing here. This is a blast.
Yeah. One of the things that you said was, the intern that came in that didn't want to roll, chords and grip and do all of that. And then we followed that with, you got to have passion and love what you do. I think one of the hardest things to teach to this next generation is they're like, I don't love that, so I don't want to do it. And I'm not feeling like I'm retired right now. I'm working doing this gripping. And I'm like, you sure are. But if you ever plan on getting where you want to get, you don't start there.
Absolutely.
It's like you just have the attitude of where you see every opportunity as an opportunity, not as a chore. It is an opportunity you've been given, and it's up to you whether you take it or not. Whether you do that to the best of your ability and you're like, I'm going to nail this opportunity so I get the next opportunity. Because if I don't nail this opportunity, who do you think is going to give you another opportunity? Says no one. Says no one. So it's not necessarily that you have to oh, I'm so excited today. I get to go.
And
I feel retired.
No, you get there over time. But you also have to humble yourself and be willing to say, you know what? My career before this career, I was a counselor, and I remember I didn't come from that industry. It wasn't what I had done before. It was just something I felt I was called to do. And I remember calling up and saying, Yep, I will do anything just to be in the room. So file papers, get you coffee. I'd already had a thriving career, okay? So I had already hit success in my life, but I was willing to humble myself to say, I don't know what I want to know. So I'm willing to serve you until I can learn what I need to know to help you, right? And that is what I think is hard to get across sometimes when you take on people that you're wanting to help, and you can quickly see who's going to pick that up and who's not.
And what's going to make you stand out in a crowd? What's your attitude like? What's your work ethic? And are you willing to do all those things? And the people that promoting you are watching you, whether you know it or not.
100%.
So if you're willing to put in that time and do the stuff that nobody wants to do, you're not going to stay there long.
And when 5 o'clock comes and you're like, how fast can I get out? And you're the first one that hits the door. Don't think they don't know that too.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
I mean, every business owner, every director, everybody in
Yes.
a lead position's dream is as somebody who cares about their project, their business as much as they
Yes.
do.
Right.
So if you start taking an ownership mentality as opposed to an employee mentality, you might be an employee. But if you think like an employee, you're going to stay an employee.
Yeah.
You have to start thinking like the owner, thinking like the business. Be as passionate, and that might be challenging at first, but if you will own it like he owns it, oh my gosh, you will one
Get
day
promoted.
be given what
That's
is
right.
your own, as it were. You know, they say like the what is it, the 5 people that you spend most of your time around, right? That you end up, the average of them, you become that
Absolutely.
person. So like, look at the people that you want to be like. I guarantee you their mentality, their work ethic is different, you know, and don't go look at your top 5 influencers. That's like looking at the Hollywood Reporter and picking out no, look at real people every day who are working hard, and look at those 5, get around them, gain from them, everything you're talking about, you know.
Yeah.
It's a way to
You
do
want to
it.
be a millionaire, hang out with them.
Yeah, get
Rodney
used to the
Dangerfield
numbers.
said, if you want to be skinny, hang out with fat people.
Wow.
Just throw that in there.
I get that. No,
That's a little off track there, but
I get
I thought
that.
that was
I
funny.
get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to be successful, hang out with people that are very successful
true.
and see what they're doing, and mimic what they're doing. And they didn't get there overnight. Some people might have money in the family, but most people get there by hard work and making good choices.
You know, it makes me think of the suddenly. You know, like they'll say they suddenly had success.
Right.
They suddenly got
Overnight.
there. Like overnight, they became this overnight success. I heard a great analogy to that. It was this guy was talking about how he got married, and 4 years into marriage, he walked past the mirror with his shirt off, and suddenly his pant size was a 32 that went to a 38 suddenly. And he was like, no, that was 4 years of being married to my wife, who's an excellent cook. It wasn't suddenly.
Right. No.
I just suddenly noticed.
Right.
And that's this industry. It looks supposedly suddenly somebody just like busted onto the scene and became this viral whatever.
No. Yeah.
That was years prior to that, of the little things that just added up. You know, he said it wasn't suddenly I had 700 bags of Doritos in one day. It was 4 years of having 2 bags of Doritos.
Absolutely.
You know,
right.
that suddenly got me that pant size. And that's kind of the suddenly is starting as the grip, and then suddenly you're running camera. But it's, that year that you did, the year that you worked in this department, to the year that you worked in that department, to the year that you were here. To then it's just that surreal moment.
I heard somebody like compliment somebody in that similar way, like, man, you're just like this overnight success. And the guy turned around to him going, it was the longest night of my life.
Yeah.
It took all that time to get there. I mean,
And everybody at the top has a cool, interesting story. Do y'all go to the NAB, every year in Las Vegas? Have y'all? been to
No,
some
we
of
did
those?
not
don't,
go
but
this
we-
year.
Okay. I've been, I go every year. Me and a bunch of guys go, but I like going to the booths, talking to the owners, and like, tell me your story. Like Mike and Dana Hall, Dana Dolly, everybody uses
the Dolly.
industry standard, if I can get that out.
Yes.
Well, I was talking to him, and it's like, how did all that happen? And he was a filmmaker on set, and he didn't like a particular dolly, so he built his own, and then a few people wanted more, and then that word spread. Then he got on B&H, and it exploded. And I asked him, how many are you selling now a year? He said over 10,000. And that didn't come, just overnight, but he worked at it. But they're a success story. Same thing with the guy that invented Pelican that we all use for our gear. That was a little box when he was fishing. And then the medical industry wanted it, and then the military wanted it, and then video people started using it, and then his company just went through the ceiling.
my God.
So there's a story behind everything,
Yeah,
and
there is.
I think it's just like we said, passion and hard work, no matter
Yes.
what you do, and don't quit. For an example, like today, the storm that rolled through here, that might be a setback. It's like, no, it isn't. We're going to get all that fixed, and we're going to keep moving ahead.
That's right.
You're always going to have setbacks.
Always.
We live in an imperfect world.
Yes.
But when there's something, even like COVID, you got to look at that as an opportunity.
Yes.
How can we capitalize on this?
Right.
There was a story in the business magazine, the Business Entrepreneur of the Month or whatever, and he was throwing balls. He had a big booth. You throw a football through a hole at the Astrodome. and the rodeo. And they came up and said, hey, we're closing down, get out of here. Remember they shut down the rodeo during COVID.
Yes.
And that's when I kind of first heard about it. It's like, they're shutting the rodeo down? Well, anyways, wife said, yeah, our event in Louisiana got canceled. So they're at home. She's crying on the couch saying, we're going to go broke. We're losing everything. He says, no, we're not. And he says, we got to figure out what is everybody going to want? And they figured out that everybody's going to want hand solution. So he called this guy that makes his booth, said, can you make me stands with hand sanitizers?
Yeah.
Yes. He went to all his computer guys and said, start sending out our emails, stop what we're doing, send out these emails. And he made over $10 million like within 2 or 3 months. And he goes, I'll never throw a football again. I'm a hand sanitizer guy. But that was in love. And so he used that downturn of, oh no, we're going to lose everything. He turned that in. No, we're not. We're going to keep moving ahead. I'm going to make more money.
I'm going to be the Zen fortune cookie guy now, but necessity is the mother of invention. It's just another one of those true statements. Necessity is the mother of invention. That's what you did. That's what you did when you pivoted.
Yeah.
That's what we do every day on set. Something needs to be invented. Something needs to be solved. We're inventing something. That's what Dana, Dolly did. All that's what they're doing. It's it's in constant state of inventing. It's holding it like we are. Our craft, yes, it's heavy and strong and sacred to us, as it were, but we hold it lightly. You have to. You have to, because you have to be able to pivot. You can't get too stuck.
No.
And this thinking, I do it this way, I do it that way. You gotta carry it lightly.
I think too, there's a mentality in which you have to carry in all these scenarios that I don't know if it's taught or caught or ornate, but there is no option out. The show must go on.
Right, exactly.
Right?
There it is.
And that is something that you're either taught, caught, or innately given. But, there isn't the option to not do the show. So what do we have to do with the problems that we have at hand? It's the same thing in filming. Like every day costs you X amount of dollars when you're on set.
Right.
So the option is not to not do it.
Right.
Absolutely. The
options
bills
are-
don't stop.
And in a day and age where a lot of people, that is an option. Well, I just won't show. Well, I just won't go.
Correct.
That ain't an option.
Correct.
Yeah.
And because of that, and they don't have successes, and they're like, but I don't know why. It's because if you allow yourself an option, by nature, we will default to the option. Less the path
Of
less
least
resistance.
Yeah,
that's
is what you will
absolutely.
take.
You're right.
Our nature is to do that.
Right.
So something in you has to know that and say, okay, I don't give myself an option.
It's good.
Yeah.
Today we will figure out
There's
how
a wall, go around it.
Right.
how we're
Right.
going to get over
go
it,
through it.
under it, through it, around it. What does that look
Whatever,
like? What
yeah.
do we need to invent to do it?
Come on.
Right.
What
That's
do
good.
we have to get to where we need to get
Right.
to?
Yes.
You just can't look at the wall and be like, it's a wall, it's a wall, it's a wall, it's a wall. We
Right.
can't.
Right.
I mean, you can do that,
Just keep swimming.
but you got to just keep swimming, right?
That's why I'm big on if you have a great work ethic and a great attitude, that's going to take you places.
Yeah,
Sure.
I agree.
In anything, besides video, just in life, if you just keep a positive attitude, and just have a great work ethic. If you got to get up at 4, get up at 4.
Right.
You got to work to midnight, work to midnight.
Right.
Yeah, do what you got to do to make it happen. They say what? The difference between an invention and an idea is one did the idea.
Right.
One actually did what they thought. It was like, I didn't know my whole journey I was not in this industry, but felt like that was an industry I was called to. And it was like, okay, all right, I've got an idea. I kind of know what I'm getting myself into a little bit, but I just got to do it. And every day was a new problem, a new obstacle, a new journey. And day by day, you just keep going until you get to the finished product.
Right.
To the finished product.
Yep.
If you quit anywhere in there,
Right.
you have no ability to succeed.
Right.
true.
Absolutely.
The finish line is the only place you will win the trophy.
Absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
if you're an artist out there, then create. Create. You're used to taking what you have and creating art wherever you find it. If you got a camera, if you got a paintbrush, if you got whatever you got, you create with what. When you were a kid, you had crayons. You did what you got. So just keep creating. Create your way out of whatever you're in. Invent your way out of whatever you're in.
Yep, so
There's a
true.
way.
And focus what you're good at.
Focus.
What
It's
like
good.
strength finders. Find the one or two things you're good at and just concentrate on that and improve that skill. One of my friends at work, Andrew McMillan, I don't know if you know him, great Steadicam op. And he's been doing Steadicam for a long time, 10 years plus, I guess. And he's going everywhere now. He's really fine-tuned his craft, but it's the hours and dedication and the investment. He has put probably $200,000 in his rig if you include his camera. But he is so good, and he did some of the weekend tour, and he's done, you name it, in the current pop rock. He has, done the Steadicam op for him. And we've had a couple of other neat success stories at our church because, I guess, of exposure.
Yeah.
But one of our directors, Micah, went on to work for Vivo, and now he's in New York directing music videos for the A-list up there in New York. And now he's branched off doing independent. And then another one, Josh Beard. Do you know Josh Beard? A lighting director.
That sounds really familiar.
He started posting on social media, and that just blew up. And then out of the blue, the Chainsmokers called him and said, "Hey, can you come light a show for us?" And they liked what he did, and then they made him his dirt
smoker said, "Come in, light a show."
Yes, no pun intended.
Sorry.
Well, you did it.
They couldn't let that one slide. That could not slide.
And now he's doing that and has his own company. So
Wow.
I think if you just keep doing what you're doing, improving on your skill, whether it be a camera op, a producer, a director, or whatever creative type person you are, keep honing that skill and keep doing it day in and day out, repetitive, and that's where you're going to get good at it. How many films of all the great guys in Hollywood, how many, what did they do growing up? And how many have they got under their belt? And I think also a lot of people don't realize how many people it takes to pull off something of that scale. You'll sit and look at the end of a movie and you'll just see names and names and names of the credit. And it's not one guy. So I think though, some of us in the field, like when I got in it, I wanted to do everything. It's like, okay, I'll edit, I'll run the camera, I'll find the client, and I'll get somebody to help me shoot.
And a lot of times you have to.
Right.
Yep. When you're a one-man band.
And then, of course, the budget's nothing. But then most of your stuff just goes back into gear. You're not putting anything in your pocket.
Right.
I think if you can do one thing and do it well and make a great team, that's where it's at, because then you're going to get better budgets. You're going to get the $200,000 budget and not the $200 budget. Hey, can you drive to the north side of town for $200? Yes, I can, but I'm not going to.
But no.
But I have a friend that will. But we all want the bigger budget stuff. And that comes with having a great team. If you're a director, get a good team, get a good a crew, get a great engineer, get a good lighting guy, get your great audio person, form that team, and then you can deliver excellence, what everybody wants.
That's true.
That's true. I completely agree. And it's like, starting a business or starting whatever it is that you're trying to do, you want to try to learn all facets of it to some degree to understand the concept of what you're running. But you don't have to become an expert at that. You just have a fundamental understanding of it.
I think it's important when you do it yourself, you realize how important audio is.
Yes.
How important lighting is.
Yes.
I would rather see a show a little out of focus or a little not as well shot, but great audio.
Yep.
When on those movies that made us, have you ever watched any of those on Netflix?
What was it?
Movies That Made Us.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a little documentary.
Yeah,
and they said they finished the movie and they were just like, I don't know if this is going to work. And they sent it to the composer and it came back with a score and it just blew it out.
Yeah.
And I think it was Home Alone or somebody, but it just shows you the importance of audio. How important that is to the part of the puzzle to deliver this awesome and telling our story.
It reminds me of a story. Sorry, Kelly.
No,
do you have that? It reminds me of a story whenever I went to Africa to shoot a short. And I just kept telling my crew, I was like, okay, y'all, I'm going to tell you, I am crazy about sound. I'm crazy about sound. So we got to have the right sound equipment over there because, if you can't hear, you lose the story. And then it's null and void. I don't care how brilliant y'all shot it, that everybody's out of the story now because nobody can hear. Everybody's like, what? They're not even looking because they're trying to lean in to hear the screen. It's the sound has to work. And so we did such great sound that one of our interviews, it's Africa. There's a chicken that keeps like
in the background.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, can somebody get the chicken? But we were picking up, like, I mean, our sound was just so good. So then I was like, you know what? We're leaving the chicken. We're leaving the chicken. Like, it's not, it was actually, it had to be a rooster, not a chicken. But I mean, you know,
It's authentic.
it was really authentic. But for me, it was just like, oh my gosh, all I'm hearing right now is in this interview. But I mean, it did add a little to it. But I agree, sound is so important.
You got to realize where are you shooting? You shooting near an airport?
Yeah.
You know, or planes going to be taking off, interrupting. You know, Halliburton, we've done a couple of shoots there. They're right there by Intercontinental Airport. So you got planes every 5 minutes flying over you. So you got to get in a room to where you can't hear any of that, or it's going to mess up your, you know, your video.
And I like what you're talking about you don't have to be an expert in all the things, but it helps to know enough about it for the sake of communication.
Absolutely.
Like I, you know, as a director, I've directed for some time, but I have produced simultaneously. I was an editor before that. I grew up with having musical skills, so I understood music composition. So when I talked to a composer or a sound design, at least I knew the language to communicate.
Right.
Because it's ultimately it's about whatever it's not just the director, it's whatever facet of this industry you're in. You have a vision for whatever that task is. And if you can't take it from here and put it in a place that somebody can digest it and see what you see, whether you're the sound engineer, whatever you are, then what's the point? You know, you're no different than the village idiot. If you can't take what's here and make it easily understood to anybody at any level. So there's something to be said for learning enough to communicate, you know, about whatever it is.
Yeah, and I like that on set where, you know, just like I always say, I know a little bit about a lot of things, but I don't know if I'm a master of any.
Right.
Maybe running the camera. But I think it's important to that makes yourself valuable, you know, when you're on set and like, well, bring Larry, he can light, or he knows how to, a little bit to run audio, or put him behind the camera. He can run any camera. You know, if you make yourself valuable on set, that's going to give you more doors for work or for people to want you to be around. And then also when you're on set, is to have a great attitude. Totally. And if you're scheduled for 8 hours, I know some people are like, well, we work 12 and you owe me another $200. Work with the people that you're working on. Look at them as they're running a business. Be the guy that does all the junk. Show up early, unload the trucks, build the set, run the camera, have a great attitude, get everybody laughing, having a good time.
Totally.
And then tear everything down, be the last guy to then go shake the guy's hand and say, thank you for the work.
Right.
Well, guess who that guy's going to call next time?
That's right.
Okay, do that to about 10 people. Now your phone's not going to stop ringing.
That's 100%
and you don't have to
true.
advertise. You got work. When people say there's no work, it's like you're crazy. You could literally work here 7 days a week. I saw, and nothing, I know homeless is a big issue, but I saw a guy in his car. He was videoing a guy that was homeless, and he panned over to about 8 guys on a lawnmower that probably just came into this country. And it's like, these guys are working. There is opportunity in this country.
That's true.
There is video projects and for us to do everywhere.
Right.
And try not to look at people as a competitor.
Right.
I want to teach you everything I know. The kids coming up, we need to invest in them, teach them everything. And there's certain things maybe you don't want to teach them. That's your little trade secret. But teach those people coming up, because eventually you're going to be 60, 65, and then those guys are going to be running the show. And so Daniel Hardaway is another guy. He was an intern. And I saw huge potential in Daniel. And him and I became like best friends. He even lived in my studio because it was closer to where we worked. I said, just live here. And so he would spend the night, a lot of nights there. And I ended up sponsoring him in his internship. And then I told him, I said, what you need to do is you need to start buying lighting. He just had a gift, a knack for it. And so I gave him a huge investment. I gave him the capital, said, go buy some lighting. And he started renting that out, and he started a small little company. And he paid me back with a little extra, and I said, I'm going to give you some more. And we did that 2 or 3 times, and now he has a monster company, Daniel Hardaway Productions, and he's doing his own thing. He's traveling with another friend of mine that I used to work with at Lakewood. He has a company called Up to Live, and Daniel's is Daniel Hardaway Productions. They're traveling everywhere. And Daniel now has a warehouse twice this side full of gear, and everything's paid for. And he's just growing and growing and growing. Just a complete success story.
Wow.
But it's just believing and investing in the youth. You don't have to give them $1 million, but give them something to get started and encourage them and push them out of that non-comfort area. And they're going to grow, especially if they have support and like, keep doing it, keep doing it. and he has a good work ethic. And so he's destined for success.
That's what I was going to say. So obviously everybody watching it is going to be like, yeah, well, I wish I had a Larry to just give me a start. And I think that's what the generation, they're all waiting for. Somebody give me a start. Somebody do it for me. Somebody help me. So let me ask you this. Why did you pick to help that boy?
Okay, I had probably 10 years, I was an intern. And sometimes we'd have 2, 3 interns. We'd have an audio intern, we'd have a video, somebody in video, just a general, or somebody that was maybe a producer that go through the internship. And I saw something in this particular person. It's like, this guy not only has talent, like he would go through all the church, stealing all the TVs and building a wall for this Sunday evening youth service, and he'd get in all this trouble. But he would build it all. He would just take the initiative to do it. And then he would lay lights all on the ground to give these strobe effects, where the youth just loved it, trying to help the youth group grow. But he was doing all that all himself. And I asked him, I said, how do you know to do all this stuff just blindfolded? And he says, well, I was homeschooled. I was an only child. And all I did was read manuals. I would get manuals to VCRs or amplifiers, and I'd go through the whole manual. But to me, he's a genius on the technical side. I'm not, the guy you want to call when you have a technical issue. But I surround myself with guys that know what they're doing. And I just saw that in him. It's like, this is a success story waiting to happen. Wow. This is a great investment, and I'm investing in him. Wow. And he doesn't need anything from me. I'm calling him for work now. Yeah. And I do work for him. There's a couple of times like, hey, Larry, can you go do this for me? I'll give you a couple of day rates. I need it done. I'm out of town. It's like, absolutely. So that's coming back, That's like Appleseed going around planting apples. Before you know it, you got an orchard, full of apples. Yeah. And it's the same thing with work. And I heard a good speaker talk to, it was a Christian Homeschool Association, and he said, when we leave this room, you're going to be a plumber, you're going to be an accountant, you're going to be a housewife, but every single one of you is going to be a farmer. And they're like, what are you talking about? And he handed out a little tractor, said, you need to take this home and put it on your college shelf. You need to put it in your bedroom and look at that tractor, because every day you're making decisions and choices and you're planting seeds. And whatever you plant is going to come back to get you, whether it's a good seed or a bad seed. That's true. We're all farmers. Yeah. And so if you're out there consistently being that good guy, planting good seeds, and that's even scriptural. What you sow, you reap.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Most everything success stories in life is in the Word of God. We know that as Christians. Yeah. But if we can follow that manual, we're going to succeed. God does not give us a dream. He does not set us up to fail. God can't fail. Apart from me, you can't do anything. With me,
you can do everything.
All things, not some things. Yeah. We can do all things. Yeah. So if we just keep that in mind, it's like, no, get out there and plant good seeds and visualize those trees. Like, I can see 100 trees out there. That's an empty field. No, it isn't. That's a field full of apples. Right. You're going to do fine no matter what you take. So just maybe that's an encouragement to somebody out there that needs it, that's getting into video, or you feel stagnant or just depressed or whatever. It's like, no, flip that around. Yeah. Get out there and make it happen.
And listen, I know we're down on our time here. I want to mention this. I have a guy right now, and it's just right around the story, and I'll let you wrap it up. But I have a guy right now on the other side of the world in India. We do a lot of work in third world nations, missions work and whatnot. I have a guy there right now. And that's one of the things that we look for more than anything else when we get to one of these nations, these underdeveloped nations, is the right person on the ground. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when you find that right person on the ground, I dedicate all of my resources to that guy. I got a guy there right now that I give him the littlest bit. It's the littlest effort I put in, and he is maximum output. Yeah. And I'm like, when I found him, I'm like, I will put all my resources into this guy because I know what he's going to produce and what he's going to do, on the other side of the world. And it's like, I think, really it's what you saw in that young guy and what he's gone on to do. And so if you're watching, be that guy, be that girl, be the one, who's going to do that. You will have a job forever and way more than that, for sure.
And I think that's why, I asked the question, honestly, Larry, was because, everybody's waiting for that opportunity for somebody just to come along and believe in you. But the young man that you invested in believed in himself already. Mm-hmm. And he was choosing to use that gift and be the excellent worker and the hardworking and foster what he loved and all of those things so you could catch his vision. You invested in his vision of what he was already painting the picture of.
Exactly.
And you saw all the attributes that would lead to success. So it was it's an easy pull the trigger.
Right.
Saying that you start with a little bit. What do you do with little? If you do right with little, then you will given much.
Absolutely.
Right? So it starts with that. It starts with you being that type of person, and then you will attract somebody to believe in you, to pour into you. And I just encourage you today to self-examine your craft, your attitude, and how you could raise the bar in that. And don't be looking for excuses, or is somebody else going to do it for me, or is somebody else going to believe in me? Believe in yourself. Believe in what you've been given and the craft that you've been given. And I hope this episode today it was encouraging for me. I hope it was encouraging for you to hear a bit of the business side, a bit of the more of the structure side of this industry. We talk a lot on the creativity side, but not as much on the fundamental business side of it. So thank you for sharing that with us
Sure,
today.
thanks. I enjoyed it.
And our audience.
I was like, how are we going to use 30 minutes? And it's like, well, 40 minutes already gone.
Already gone. I know, it just flies by. I mean, we could stay in these conversations for days.
Yeah, I'd love to come back, maybe hang out with my buddy Dan one time. But I enjoyed meeting you guys. I love your studio.
Thank you.
And I'd like to encourage anybody out there, it's like, come check the place out. It's so good. They have a same mindset, I think, as a lot of Christians have. They've got good focus here, and their studio is just excellent. Everything in here is just done with excellence. So if you're looking for a place to shoot, come check this place out. Get to know these guys. They're great people. So I enjoyed meeting you guys, and I hope wish y'all the best as y'all expand and grow. And I know if I come back in a few months, you're just going to be telling me stories like, yeah, the lady came back and wanted an extra month. So everything's good.
$100.
That's right.
So I just collect the money on the way out.
Yeah, that's right. Good job. That was great. Just like we practiced it.
Yeah. Well, I'm reading the teleprompter. No, I'm joking.
No, we really
Anybody that
appreciate
knows
that.
me knows I like to joke around too.
Yeah.
I'm a big jokester.
Yeah, that was, we appreciate that, Larry. Thank you so much for.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, the kindness. And if our audience today wants to get involved with what you're doing, or follow you, or shed some sport on you, how would they do that?
Go to Facebook, Larry Westfall. Just look me up, send me a message, or you can email me at toyby4@comcast.net. So send me a message. I spoke with a girl here last time I was here, and I said, come out to Lakewood. And I didn't think she would show up. She showed up the next Sunday. Wow. So I gave her a tour, showed her around, and I told her about the internship program. I'm going to try to get her out on a night that we shoot one of our Monday night broadcasts, maybe let her get behind the scenes, seeing how it all works, because she's real interested in getting plugged in. So you got to take that step. So when something comes near your way, go through that door. You never know where it's going to take you, and it's going to take you somewhere nice.
Yeah,
You have to look forward as that. It's going to be a great day ahead of you. So anyway, hopefully that was encouraging today.
Yeah,
and I know we didn't really get on the production side, but the business aspect and that side of it's very important to all of us. Yes. And you got to have that to succeed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I enjoyed talking with both of you today.
Yes.
It's very fun.
Thank you. And we'll put in the description and everything how to get in touch with you and all the things that you just said, and you'll probably see it on the bottom of the screen. So again, thank you for your time today. Thank you for all
Larry
your wisdom.
Westfall,
Yes, all your wisdom and knowledge that you've shared with us today. So we appreciate it. Until next time, we'll see you on Set Life.